So here's the MSI Titan 18HX. This is the flagship laptop for MSI this year. It's got an i9-14900HX with an RTX 4090. Yes, NVIDIA did not come out with any new laptop GPUs this year for the high-end gaming laptops. Now, this i9-14900HX is 24 cores, 32 threads. It's basically just a little bit faster than the i9-13900HX, and it's got the same cores and threads. So 4.7 gigahertz on those cores right there, starting out. Wattage, 211 watts of package power. Woo. 95 degrees Celsius, 202, up to 220 watts peaked. We got final score 32,103. Not a huge upgrade from a CPU perspective. Might be a little bit faster for gaming, a little bit faster for multi-core rendering, but not by a huge margin. The big thing with this laptop is it's an 18-inch MiniLED 4K 16:10 aspect ratio display, which is just going to be fantastic. It's also got a glass seamless haptic touchpad, which I think has tremendous potential. And it worked quite well overall, in my opinion. The tricky part is there's no tactile feedback when you reach the edge of the touchpad. So you can easily move your finger beyond either above to the left or the right without realizing it. But once you get used to it, it's quite easy. Now, the touchpad itself is a 5-zone RGB touchpad, and you can customize the colors, how fast they transition between each other, all in the SteelSeries GG engine. Now, there's not as much RGB lighting on the Titan 18HX this year. It's basically got RGB per key on the mechanical cherry switch keys here, and I'll give you a quick listen on the keyboard sound. Very satisfying to type with, and we have a full-size number pad this year on the Titan, which is very welcome considering how big the Titan was last year on the GT77, and it was not a full-size number pad, which is kind of silly. So overall, love the keyboard functionality, kept the same keyboard functionality that we had from before, but just better spacing, still mechanical, and the RGB glass touchpad that's seamless, haptic feedback. I think it's a really cool idea. I think the biggest transition there is going to be just making sure the software powering that haptic touchpad is very, very good. Now, on the back, the only RGB we have is the MSI logo, which is very different from all of the RGB on the GT77 Titan, because the Titan had RGB coming out all the vents and everything, and this one does not. Now, another thing that is different on the Titan this year is the cooling system. There is a dual fan vapor chamber cooling system on the Titan, and that's a huge change because last time we had a 4-fan, 8 heat pipe system on the GT77. So a completely different design ethos, and this one allows the Titan 18HX to be thinner, lighter, a little bit more portable, and still have a bigger screen. So that's all very good. Now, the ports on the Titan 18HX are very good, but they're not quite as good as they were last year. A slight downgrade in terms of ports. We have 2 Thunderbolt 4s, a USB-A, and a headset port on the right. On the back, we have an HDMI 2.1, a power adapter port, which is now a 400-watt power brick, though it is smaller than the 330-watt power brick that they included last year. The Ethernet port on the back as well, downward facing, which is going to be a little bit trickier to grab compared to upward facing. On the left side, we have 2 USB-A 3.2s and a full-size SD card slot. Now we have Windows Hello on the top and up to 270 watts of continuous power throughput going through the laptop, which is just fantastic, top of the line in terms of potential cooling systems. Let's talk about the display a little bit more. HDR 1000 display, which means we get up to 1000 nits peak brightness. Not sure what the sustained brightness is on this display, but I'm sure it's quite good overall. I think the Titan is In terms of design build, it seems very similar to the Scar 18 in terms of sizing and proportions. I think the keyboard and trackpad are very unique implementations compared to the previous generation. I think it's very good, potentially. I did run Cinebench R23 on the Titan 18HX, and it got about 32,300 in the first runs, and eventually it throttled down to about 31,000. So overall, very fast CPU, very high TDP, up to 220 watts in a peak burst, getting that 32,300, and then up to about 180 watts continuous throughput to the CPU. Now, the tricky part is this is not undervolted at all, and I'm sure with undervolting, like 34, 35, 36,000 is definitely going to be achievable, just like the i9-13900HX. So that's an overview of the Titan 18HX. It's going to cost around $5,000 according to the MSI reps when I believe it. We got 4 SODIMM RAM slots in here, up to 128 gigs of RAM, 3 M.2s, a Gen 5 PCIe SSD slot in here as well. Can't wait to take one apart, do a full unboxing review. Be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that, as well as all the overview on all these other MSI laptops, which I'm about to film. So, see you in the next one. Brandon, out.